Someone said, do you state that atoms exist? Big word, exist. And do you state that atoms are objects? Uh, no, we don't state. See, this is the problem. People are still operating under the traditional notion of science. And of course, they have this notion of exist tied to that notion of science. And we're changing all that. There's a paradigm shift, and unless you understand that, you're not in tune with this, what this channel does. Okay, so let's answer that question. Here's the explanation. It says, in rational science, we do not state that God is an object or that an atom is an object. We do not believe that God is an object. Okay, we do not state that God exists, or we do not believe or disbelieve or wonder about the existence of God. In rational science, we define. Okay, and then everything follows from the definitions. We know exactly what the word means. In this case, we say, okay, how do we define the word object? Object is that which has shape. So if an atom, whether God, whether space-time, whether a particle, whatever, has shape, then it's an object by definition. What do we mean by exist? Well, exist means physical presence. It's an object that has location. Location versus all the other objects in the universe. So if there's distance between God's chest and mine, well, God exists by definition. Otherwise, God does not exist by definition. Not because I believe or disbelieve. Okay? And God can never be a theory. God can only be an assumption. Okay? To say that God is a theory, an explanation, is like saying a chair is an explanation. Now, is a chair an explanation? No, we use a chair to explain. A chair is an object, not an explanation. And God cannot be in the same way an explanation. God is an object that we use to explain something else. So you can say, look, let us assume God exists. Okay, fine. And now, God, what is God? Well, God is a guy with a big white beard and a magic wand in his hand. And he waves it and he creates things. He creates the universe. Fine. Now we can follow the guy's presentation. Whether you believe that or not, that's your personal problem. Okay, that's your personal religion. But God cannot be an explanation per se himself. Okay? God can only be an assumption, an object. We can use God to explain something else. And atheists don't understand that. They go around with the issue of belief, okay, knowledge, okay, perception, and that's a big problem. And by the way, I used to be an atheist for 20, 30 years more. Years of my life. I came from a militant atheist background, so it took a while to figure it out and get out of atheism. And today, I do not favor atheism, I attack them. I want to make sure people understand that atheism is a religion. It's a religion because the person talks about belief, disbelief, or lack of belief, and all this nonsense that they go around in circles with. No. In science, we say, let us assume that God exists. Okay, that's the scientific way of presenting God. And you can present God, you can even present leprechauns, you can present unicorns, you can present anything. You can say, let us assume that a unicorn exists. Now I can explain how that hole in the wall was made. The unicorn rammed it. Okay, that's how the hole was made. So I explained objectively how that hole was made. Now, whether you accept my assumptions, that's a separate issue. And whether you believe my theory, that's also your personal business. I don't care. So that's how we're going to present science here, okay? You just need to understand. So yeah, if God wants to exist, all he's got to do is have a physical presence, okay? He's got to be an object, first of all, okay? In this case, we see a human-like figure. So obviously that God, right? That God is an object. Does he have distance? Well, he has distance with respect to the tree, the rock, the table, the human. Okay? So God exists by definition. Not because I believe or disbelieve or lack a belief. Okay? Which is what atheists say. Okay? Agnostics say it even worse. They say they don't know whether God exists or not because they can't imagine an experiment that you can run to prove God. which is the notion that we inherited from the 17th century scientific revolution, so-called scientific.